really dodgy right at the moment, so if this drops out, I'm sorry. I'll just record the video and then upload it at a later date. But I wanted to talk about a local story. I don't often cover things locally, even Australia-wide, and there's a few reasons for that. But I do want to talk about this 17-year-old girl who has been missing now for 8 days. So last Thursday, May the 15th, was when apparently she was last seen. And I'm just going to give you the facts that I know. If I give you an opinion, everything is just alleged. Don't know if I'll give you much of an opinion, but I just wanted to see what everyone thought. And, you know, we really need a big bolo for this poor girl, a big bear on the lookout for anything suspicious. I do think that Phoebe isn't alive any longer, but who knows? So her name is Phoebe Bishop, and she's 17 years old, and on the day she went missing, she was going to go from Gingin, which is north of Brisbane here, 2 or 3 hours north, and she was going to be dropped off at Bundaberg Airport, Bundaberg being inland from on the coast from Gingin, east of Gingin. And she was going to fly down through Brisbane Airport, make a connecting flight to go out to WA to visit her boyfriend over in Western Australia. So maybe Perth, I don't know where. And she never walked into that airport. She's been living in squalor. I found the address just by looking at images on the news and then searching the town on Google Maps, and I had an idea of the part of town it might be judged by the type of house. So 27 Milden Street, so the eastern end of Milden Street. She was living there with 2 flatmates, hadn't been there very long, and I'll tell you about them in a minute, but the flight was leaving at 8:30, so just a domestic flight. She may have been trying to get to the airport by 7:30 or 8 o'clock, who knows what time. I certainly don't know yet, but apparently her 2 flatmates have given, they've basically been questioned by police, probably extensively. So she never made it to Bundaberg Airport. Police have looked at CCTV, and they're asking people in the area to look at their dash cams and anything of that regard. They've given out a little bit of information, but really they're pretty, there's a lot of, there's some vague things going on, because she's getting a lift to the airport in a Hyundai owned by Tanya Kristen Bromley. Pleasant woman, this woman, 33 years old. She's got pending weapons charges. So charming woman. She's got these weapon charges from up in Emerald. She's pulled over on the state highway. She's got a sawn-off shotgun. What do you use those for? And a type of knife with her. So she's appeared on March the 28th in Bundaberg Court. She's due to appear on June the 23rd in Bundaberg Court. Whether or not she will make her hearing or something might happen before that, who knows. So Tanika Kristen Bromley and James Woods are the 2 people that are in this house in Melbourne Street, and this young girl, Phoebe's been staying there, living there for a month or so. Not for very long. She's been living in and out of home, and apparently she's saved her money to go to WA. And Hi, Chloe. And then what's happened is the reports are that maybe she was seen that morning in the vehicle, in the silver Hyundai, and was arguing with someone in the car, and perhaps kicked out of the car a kilometre or so before the airport. Well, possibly, but I haven't seen that there's been police sweeps, search teams looking up and down the highway for clues, right? Tracks where a car stopped. Did Phoebe try to stop anything, drop anything? Because her luggage is missing. But the reports are that she's in grey tracksuit pants, a green tank top, and she had luggage with her. Now, is this reports from the flatmates? Or from someone who maybe did see her on the side of the road on the way to the airport? Did she get kicked out, but maybe the flatmates have come around, done a bit of a loop, which would have taken a while on Airport Drive, and have come back and picked her up again? Well, no reports of a girl getting into a car. So I'm taking this part of the story maybe with a grain of salt, because the car is now a crime scene, and the car's now a crime scene, and the home, the house, the hovel at Melbourne Street is a crime scene. So the car is a 2011 Hyundai iX35, license plate 414EW3. Anyone that's been driving around up in that area needs to check dash cam if they've got it. Businesses need to check. The layout of the place is just say Gingin's inland, you go out to Bundaberg, and there's a highway here. This is the main Bruce highway that Gingin's on. Well, Bundaberg, you can go back down Highway 3 out the other way, making a triangle, come up halfway towards Gingin, and just out here is a bushland, a national park called Goodnight Scrub National Park, and that's now apparently being searched. So, if it was this I-35, how is it that they're searching there, right? Was the car actually seen not returning on the route that they'd think they'd directly go back home to Gingin? But have they seen them somewhere along that highway now? They're just putting 3 and 3 together to get 19. Who knows? But maybe there's been a sighting. We don't know enough, really. So it gets worse than just a missing girl who hasn't used her bank accounts, who never made it to the airport, and who had been living with some people of questionable character. Look, sorry, James, I don't know if you've got a record, but you seem to think that Tanika Bromley's a bit of all right, and she's a real piece of work. She's a mother of 2. They don't live with her. I don't know how she got a job as an independent support worker, because if people are doing their due diligence hiring, you have to do a national police check. And sure, if these are just pending charges for the shotgun and the particular weapon, etc., maybe that she did do a national police check. But if you're out on bail on serious charges, how do you get a job as an independent care worker? That means you're working with vulnerable people. I mean, I don't know, inquiring minds want to know. But it gets worse, okay? So not only is this young, so she's a tall, willowy, natural blonde, always looks like blue eyes, any photos I've seen, but they're described as greeny eyes. She's got dyed red hair at the moment. She's very tall for a girl, maybe 5'9", 180 centimeters anyway. the house, and so not only is it dilapidated, not only are there bags and bags and bags of rubbish, there is an overwhelming stench of decay there. It's been declared the second crime scene. So the car and the house are a crime scene. And worse than just bags of rubbish, dead dogs. Dead dogs. 11 of them, says one neighbour. I've seen reports of 13. Now, neighbours would complain about the dogs barking. They complain about the house being a party house, that it used to be a very quiet street. It's sort of, even though it's just off to the east side of the main road of town, just like in these little country towns, you know, you just go off that main road and can be very, unless you've driven further out from town and you're in a new little subdivision, or, you know, newer subdivisions where there's a lot more houses built more densely, just on this little end of this road in town, it's just a few houses, and they were, you know, disturbing the peace for about 6 months. Tanika and James, and there'd been complaints about the noise of the dogs as well. Now it just makes you think, what's happened to these dogs? Are they puppies that they've killed, or did they shoot their dog, or did they kill dogs to try to hide the smell of something else? When were these dogs shot? That's what I want to know. And did the neighbours report shots? And if they haven't, which I couldn't see any proof of, then how did they kill these dogs? With the knife? And why? Why 13 dogs? Now that could be a mother dog and a litter of puppies, but probably around those parts. I mean, maybe they just couldn't go through with feeding these puppies or feeding the dog enough food for 7 weeks, 8 weeks to get them, you know, out the door. I'm sure they would be able to give away puppies. Who knows? Yeah, so it's pretty dreadful. You could theorize that, look, maybe these flatmates are trying to, you know, they think, okay, this young girl's going, does she owe them money? Are they trying to get money from her for rent, for power, for anything else? Are they thinking, well, hey, you better come back. Are you coming back? What about all your stuff? Well, you know, was there an argument about money? Because they think maybe, hey, if she gets over to WA, she's not going to send money back. What if she stays there? What if she decides to live there with her boyfriend? You know, young and 17. I mean, I think this is why I want to talk about this, because remembering that age, just how young and vulnerable you are, but how bulletproof you think you are, and sometimes you don't realize the danger you're in. You know, you can be very cocky and everything. Now she's described as a mum. Her name is Kylie Johnson, and you know, just has written some lovely things about her, and says that she's like this very loving sort of gypsy daughter or something. I can't remember how she described her, but even if someone's sort of mellow, switched on, you can get in too deep before you really know it. And why has she ended up in this house? Is it because it's sort of a last resort? Has she been running out of options? I mean, she's been saving money to get to her boyfriend, I guess. I don't know much about that, how she bought the ticket. Did the boyfriend help pay for it? Did she have any money on top of that? Or did she just want to get to WA, have a holiday staying with her boyfriend? Or did she want to try and get a job over in WA? You know, possibly it's about money, right? and it's gotten out of hand. If it's true that they were arguing in the car, was it about that? Or was it just typical 17-year-old hormones and being really stressed out? These guys, she's begged them to do her the favour of taking her to the airport. It's about 50 minutes, about 40 kilometres away from Gingin to the airport, just outside of Bundaberg. Did she lose her shit because they're running late? Because, you know, as I was saying, they've got to get up on the Thursday morning to drive 50 minutes. If she wants to get there at 8 o'clock, you know, personally, I'd be leaving at, say, 6 o'clock. But were they hustling to leave? But why then have this argument and drop her off just before the airport? A kilometre before the airport. It just sounds like a lie, doesn't it? They'd know that if they pretended to drive up and drop her off, just say they didn't have her in the car, or they had her in the car and she was hurt. They can't just drive through the airport departures or anything, or through the car parks, because they'll be seen and there's cameras. But at first they have said they dropped her off at the airport, and then there's reports about an argument, and then was she actually kicked out of the car? Where is that story came from? See, those things, the whole thing of seen having an argument, seen that morning, seen with the luggage, seen with, there's no witness, there's no source for that. It's just these statements being put out there. So we don't know if this is coming from Tanika or James or what. So 17, very, very vulnerable girl. Her luggage is missing. There's a report that the Hyundai was seen the following night, so Friday night, along that strip of airport driving quite strangely or unnaturally, whatever that means. But, you know, it's very interesting. The house and the car, the crime scenes, the goodnight scrub is being searched, and you know, that completely different area that they would have to go around on this loop and then maybe back up to Gingin. So sure, she might have been dropped off, you know, kicked out of the car. These things happen. Kicked out of the car, picked up by someone else who said, no, I'll take you to the airport, but of course has not taken her to the airport, and she's just disappeared into thin air. And are they just trying to search the scrubland because it seems to make sense to them in some way? Or do they have a tip? Did these two, James and Tanika, go in the car together? It's Tanika's car, and I think sometimes in couples like this, if one goes, the other goes, you know. Come with me so I'm not driving home on my own. I can't imagine, I don't know, I'm just having a trouble seeing this as something that they'd be really happy to do, you know. I'd hate to think it's over something like, hey, you said you're going to give us petrol money, give us more money. Has Tanika said, oh, I haven't got any money out yet. I didn't have cash on me. I didn't think to do that. I wish I knew what Phoebe had been doing for work. I mean, 16, 17, it could be anything. I was working in a bank then. It could be anything. But I just, wow, you know, from a high to a low, man, because she would have been so excited to go and see her boyfriend, and I think I also read, or yeah, I think I also read it that she had been in contact with the boyfriend on the phone that morning. I wonder if she tried ringing him from the car. We don't know if she was ever alive in the car leaving Gingin that morning, right? That could all just be a wild fabrication, and maybe we're just waiting for an arrest. Maybe we're waiting for one person to turn on the other. They might just have nothing to do with it, and it's just circumstance that she just simply had this contact with people that are just less than savory. Maybe just out of, a desperate situation, needing somewhere to live. Who knows why she's moved from one house into this one? Was she evicted from another house? Did she just need to move? Did she want to move closer to town, to Gingin? Because was she working in a store there or something at Gingin? What was she doing? If she hadn't moved there very long, had she, if she is working so she can save money, did she not pay them rent or something? I don't know why I keep coming back to that, but I'm just trying to think if everything was cool with them, like what would make people go off, and it is things like that. It is things like that, and that sort of, I can just picture this situation, and then how tense that goes. And if you've got someone that is already why do you have sawn off shotguns? Armed robbery or what? I don't know. It's not something you hunt with. Well, I guess it would spray wildly, wouldn't it? It doesn't seem like something you'd hunt with. It's the type of knife, I can't remember how it was described, but it's a pretty serious knife. Putting it together with, the dead animals at the house, the squalor, the party house, this little country town. What would make something go off like that? What could possibly be the reason? Strong personalities, hot heads, a young girl not realizing that you could be in danger here because these, people are serious. It's just allegedly. It's not even allegedly. It's just speculation. It's not. I'm not even saying this is necessarily my opinion about people, right? Because they're not mentioned as suspects. They've just been giving long information, detailed, accounts to the police, both of them, and their house and their car is a crime scene. But apart from that, hey, it's could be nothing, right? So I just hope that the police acted quickly enough. I feel like they haven't. Acted quickly enough to ensure they snare in all the possible information from cars, cameras, etc. It's a place where a lot of people with their dash cams from that day, they're travelling, they're driving, they're heading up to tropical Queensland. So I hope they're doing enough to get the word out up north, and down here in Brisbane, asking for the information for anyone that's, they may not be anywhere in the area, but they could definitely have captured something. And hey, perhaps something was captured, we just don't hear about it, and that's why they're at the national park. All right, so just sending out lots of hope for Phoebe Bishop. I know I said I fear the worst. It's the first thing I said, and she's, you know, one way or the other, right? She's clearly unable to contact her mother. She's clearly unable to contact the police herself. She's clearly unable to contact her boyfriend. She has fallen off the face of the earth on May 15th, and we could be being told a whole lot of porcupines from Tanika Bromley and James Woods. So you can have a look yourself. Have a look and see what you think of 27 Milden Street. As it is now, it doesn't look as pretty as a picture like it does on Google, in a sort of quaint, rundown, sort of rural town sort of way. It's absolutely diabolique. There's a bus out the front, which belongs to James Wood, just this big old bus, you know. It's place is falling apart. The fence is all broken. There's rubbish everywhere, and of course, I mean, you know, there's the crime scene investigators there being photographed in their full kit. Let's just hope that she's found, and there's resolution for her family, because they are absolutely devastated. I don't think we should be questioning, but why is it, you know, there's a lot of course, cruelty going on, just as normal, right, in the comment sections, you know, saying, well, I'm blaming the parents. Why the fuck is she not at home? Why isn't she living at home with her parents? Where are they? Where were they? Why aren't they driving her to the airport? Well, you know, 16, 17-year-old girls are very headstrong. We don't know why she's living out of home. She wanted her independence. Maybe there's someone in the home she wasn't getting on with. Maybe she doesn't always get on with her mother, but there's certainly, you know, no reason to think that it's not a normal relationship with its normal ups and downs, and that it's not loving and close. So who knows why. Now, perhaps, yes, she should have, especially if there was the possibility that she decides, hey, I want to stay over here and live here. I'm not going to be back for a while. You'd think you might want your family to go and drop you off, but we don't know the situation. This young girl probably didn't want her parents knowing quite the situation that she was living in. That's my guess. And if she had been reneging on money to garner more for her trip, I imagine she didn't want them to know that either, because she probably knows that that's probably not the best thing to do, but she probably thought, oh, don't worry about it. Felt a little bit bad, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to cast aspersions on Phoebe, I'm not, but, you know, I'm just trying to think of all the things that they might argue about. It could have been something as trifling as, could you hurry up? I'm going to miss my plane, you know, and someone that, you know, hothead, didn't keep their cool, and maybe, yeah, did kick her out, then maybe did circle around, and then maybe Phoebe's just said, hey, you know, and rather than being able to deal with it and realize that, hey, she can just catch the next flight, she's going to have to pay some money to change the flights, but, you know, who knows? But I wish I knew more. Anyway, sorry, I'm just rambling, but I just find this so disturbing, so sad. My heart really goes out for her. I think she might have been in a situation, you know, she's bitten off more than she can chew, if anything has happened. You know, these people that she's flirting with, they're a lot older. At that age, wow, you know, even at 21, a 33-year-old woman who doesn't have custody of her two children and has pending weapons charges, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a big gap. But at 17, it's a lot. She was in over her head, I think. And yeah. You know, I guess I'm thinking, look, you know, clearly something terrible's happened to her, it's better that it's people that we know of, because if it's strangers, you know, that's when cases really, they're so hard to solve. It's so hard to find that random abductor that's taken her off Airport Drive and could be anywhere, and she could be anywhere, right? So, you know, I think that's why, well, the focus they want to be on these two people, because it means that it's very likely to be solved. Now, they were just hanging around still, so it's not like they've decided to make a run for it, but did they think that that would be suspicious? Have they killed these dogs because they've thought Shivers, you know, is it all very false? You know, have we got false information about the call from her to the boyfriend? I mean, was it a text? What is the story with all the phones and the phone data and the car data? Because what if, you know, she was maybe murdered days earlier, and they've killed the dogs to make what they have created, which is a deranged stench. I really don't know. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.